Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. My most popular tutorial on YouTube so far is my 5-row wrap bracelet. I have over 320,000 views on it and 2,000 likes. So for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make another wrap bracelet. These ones here are a lot easier to make, but you have so many choices on what beads you want to use for it, charms, buttons, basically anything that you can fit on this cord you can use in this bracelet. One of the most challenging things in beading, and one of the questions I get asked the most, is how do I choose color combinations? Now, I get inspiration from everywhere. From nature, clothes, that's a big place to find color ideas, is through clothes. All around me, I just constantly looking all around me in my life at things in my house, when I go shopping, all the different colors out there, and if I like it, I'll either take a picture of the colors with my phone, or I'll write the colors down, and later on I'll think of something to make with those color combinations. Now, what I usually do when I pick colors to make something is the least amount I choose would be 2 colors. Like in this ring, I have my pinks. I have 3 different shades of pink, and then I throw in a neutral color, that being the pearly white. So 2 being the least that I used, and the most colors I've probably used in color combinations is probably 6 or 7 colors. Now I think that using neutral colors are very important. In this bracelet here, I have my brown cord, and I have these metallic gold charms, and these here are my neutrals, and then I have this amber colored bead here, and then I have my colors being the red and the purple. So I think that neutrals are very important when you go to make something. And in this bracelet I also have lots of neutrals, and then I have my splash of color in it. So with this bracelet, what I did was, to make it easier to choose colors, is I thought of a theme, or a place that I like, or something I love. This one here is a place, Egypt, and I have a pharaoh head, and a camel, and I have the sun, and I have these rich colors. And I actually made the bracelet first, and I thought it was really pretty, and these gold beads, it made me think of Egypt, so that's why I put those Egyptian charms on there. Now, where I live on the Treasure Coast, where whenever there's a hurricane, gold washes ashore. So that's why it's called the Treasure Coast. So I did this bracelet based on where I live. So the cord, I did the color of sand, and then when it's wrapped around 3 times, it looks like a net with a whole bunch of stuff caught in it. So I have my anchor, button, I have shells, I have this glass here that looks like sea glass. I have green for like algae and palm trees and stuff. Here's my gold nuggets, being my treasure. I have aqua colored beads, color of the water, coconut beads, and then here are some shells that I drilled with my Dremel. So I had a lot of thought put into this bracelet and what I wanted to do with it. And here is a sea star charm. So for this bracelet, if you have a hard time choosing what colors you want to do, think of something you love. If you love fairies and you can find fairy charms, do a fairy bracelet and use colors like pink and white and purple, stuff like that. So I hope this gave you some ideas on choosing colors. So let's make these bracelets. Here's the list of materials you're going to need to make them. If you want a double wrap bracelet, like my pharaoh one here, you're going to need 5 feet of 1mm cotton cord. Now you can probably use leather cord. It needs to be 1mm, but it will be more expensive to use leather instead of the cotton. If you want a triple wrap bracelet, like this one here, you're going to need 7.5 feet of the 1mm cotton cord, or you can use the leather. Now, for the beads, you're going to need beads that have larger holes with them. I found that lampwork beads work pretty well with the 1mm cord. I have lampwork in this bracelet, these aqua color ones here, and this one, I have the purple, and these ones here are lampwork beads. So they work good if you have some of those. You're going to need a clasp, and I found that buttons work well and they look really good. This one's a button, and this one I actually used a bead in. Now when I was making this one, I had this shell that I was going to use as the clasp, but I decided on the anchor for the beach theme. And now, charms, you can use charms, but they are optional. This bracelet here I couldn't find a charm for. This theme here I have is like a flower garden theme. I have my sun, my dragonflies, my pink beads for my flowers, green for the leaf, brown for the dirt, and my cord is also going to be brown. So that's going to be my theme bracelet in this video. And you're also going to need clear nail polish. Now this is going to make the ends of your cotton cord not fray. I'm going to show you how to put it on. It's going to make them stiffer. And also I use the clear nail polish on the knots because it's so thin, the clear nail polish, it absorbs into the knot and it keeps it from coming undone. You're also going to need a ruler so we can measure our knots. Now in these bracelets I have my knots measured every inch. So I'll have a knot right here at the beginning where my button goes, and then an inch over here I'll make another knot, then another knot, and another. So every inch I'll have a knot. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the simple and easy way that I measure my cord so I know I have an accurate number. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to hold one end of my cord down here on my ruler, and then I'm going to wrap it around the bottom, then come up to the top and wrap it around again. So now there's one cord here and one in the back. That's 2 feet. Here's 3 feet. Then up the back, 4 feet and 5 feet. So I'm going to make a double wrap bracelet in this one. And this is how I measure my cord. And I wasn't going to show how to do this. And then I asked somebody I know, how would you measure 5 feet of cord? And the response I got was silly. So this is how I measure my cord. And I also measure my monofilament like this in Fireline. So now I'm going to put the clear nail polish on the ends of my cord to stop them from fraying. I already did it to this one, and this one is actually pointy and kind of sharp. So I'm just going to get the clear nail polish, wipe some off, and put some on, and I'll do like ½ an inch of the clear nail polish. Maybe an inch depending on how big your beads are, because you have to get it way through. So it's basically a needle. Okay. Now you can let it sit there for a couple seconds. Blow on it, but don't leave it like this. Take your fingernails and roll it in your fingernails and make sure that all the fraying is being twisted into one piece. Okay, this is good. Now I'm going to let this dry. It's only going to take like 1 or 2 minutes for it to completely harden. Then when it's hardened, I can use it as a needle. I'm just going to tell you real quick how to measure the bracelet to fit your wrist. Now, for a double wrap bracelet, if you wear an 8-inch bracelet normally, you would do 16 inches. So my knots are every inch apart. So the cords here, where they're touching, is a hole. This counts as a hole. This is a hole. This is a hole. Now, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches. And so on through the entire bracelet. Now, this bracelet is double wrap, so I did 16 inches long. And this hole is my 16th hole, so that's how I measure it. Now, for the triple wrap bracelet, I did that 24 inches long. So the 24th hole is where my clasp is going to go through. Now, if you wear a smaller bracelet, like a 7.5, you might just have to take out 1 or 2 knots at the end. So instead of going through the 16th hole, you might want to go through the 15th hole. But keep in mind that because we're using larger beads and we have these charms, the bracelet is going to be chunky and a lot thicker. So when you wrap it around your wrist, it's going to feel smaller on you. So I like to make it just a little bit bigger on me, because like even when I wash my hands, I slide the bracelet up my wrist so it doesn't get wet, so I don't have to deal with the wet cord. So this is how you measure the bracelet to fit your wrist. Now I'm ready to finally make the bracelet. So I have my beads laid out here in the order I want, and I have 16 glass beads, and on every second bead I'm going to have a dragonfly. So 1, 2, dragonfly, 1, 2, dragonfly, 1, 2, dragonfly. This is my pattern, green, pink, brown. So make sure that you get your pattern established before you knotting, because taking these knots out can be a pain. I'm going to pick up my button and put this on first. Make sure my ends are even. Bring my button down to the end. I'm just going to tie a knot. I'm going to make a loop like this. Then I'm going to put my button through it. I'm going to slide the knot up close to my button, just like this. Pull it tight. So now we're ready to add beads. The ends of my cords are strong and stiff, and they just slide right on. So there's one bead. I'm going to slide it down. And now I'm going to do it again. Make another knot. Make a loop, just like this. Put my button through it. Slide my knot down. And I have to measure this on my ruler so I can get my knot an inch apart. So right there's 1 inch, and now I'm ready to do another. When I do this, I'm making sure that I leave this knot here that's for my button at the 0, and I go this way on my bracelet. So every time I add a new bead, I sit on like this, because if I don't, if I just were to measure, well, here's an inch, there's an inch, keep going like that, at the end, it's actually not going to be correct. I've learned this already from doing it that way, so that's why I'm telling you. So now I'm going to add another bead, and what I did before is I put all the beads on one strand, and then I sat in bed and just tied knots. But then I realized that all the beads were on one side, and the other side of the bracelet was just a string, so it looked weird. So this side has a bead on it, so I'm going to take the opposite string, this one at the bottom, so my bracelet looks more random, and I'm going to put a bead on this string. Here's my second bead. Now on my other string I'm going to put my dragonfly. Bring that down. Here's both of them. Slide them both down. I'm going to tie another knot. Bring it on down. Measure it just like this. Slide my knot up. Okay, and there's 2 inches. Now I'm going to do my next sequence. So my glass bead's on this side, so I'm going to take this cord here and put my other glass bead on it, so they're not side by side. They're across from each other. Now I'm going to tie another knot by just making a loop like this and taking and passing my button through this loop here. Pull my knot down, measure it right here where my knot's at. So there is 3 inches. Now I'm going to do my next one, and my bead is going to have to go on this cord, my glass bead. Slide that down. The clear nail polish really does harden the cords and make it easier to slide your beads on. I'm going to do the dragonfly on the other side. Bring this down. I'm going to tie another knot. Make a loop like this and pass the button through. Now I'm going to measure it again. Right here's 4-inch mark. Just like this. Sometimes if you pull one cord, if like one looks looser, if you pull one, it'll make it tighter. So now here's 4 inches. I'm going to do it again. Well, this cord is going to be my glass bead. It's opposite. Okay. And I'm going to do another knot. So make a loop, just like this, and pass the button through it. Bring it down. Right here I am. 5 inches is my mark. Okay, there's 5 inches. And now I'm going to continue on my bracelet. So pretty much you know how to do this, how to do the knots. You can mess around with these here and slide them more towards the center. Like that. So keep on going, knotting this until you get to the length of bracelet you want, the double wrap or the triple wrap. So there are 2 different ways to finish the bracelet off. You could do it this way, which is a lot easier, where I add on my last 2 beads, and then I tie a knot, and then I have to make another gap here without the beads, and I have to make sure that this is going to fit through this hole. When I do get the right size, I will tighten this all the way and make it really super tight, and then I'll cut the cords and I'll put the clear nail polish on it to seal that up. Now, this one here I did differently, where I folded the cord and then I tied the knot down here. This one is a lot harder to do because this here is hard to get 1 inch, and then this here can either go too small or too big, and it's hard to get the button to fit just right. So it took me like 4 or 5 tries on the way this one's finished to get it just right. So this one's easy to do. I'm sure you can figure it out. It's the same as all this. It's just there's no bead and I cut the end off. Now I'm going to show you how to tie this knot. I'm going to make a big space right here, maybe like that long, like 1.5 inches to 2 inches. And then I'm going to fold it just like I did before, but this time I'm using the 2 cords. Then I'm going to tuck this part through this hole, grab it, slide this knot down, stick my finger here and tighten it up, measure this. Okay, it's about 1 inch, and now I have to make sure that it's going to fit my button and not be too big. So this is still a little loose, so I can undo this. I've done it with tweezers, and try to make it smaller for my button. Okay, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to use less cord this time. I'm going to tie my knot here. Okay. Now it fits just right. It's perfect. And this is 1 inch. So now I have a good knot. If you want to make this tighter, right here, what I've done is pull these individual cords and it tightens up in this big knot because all those cords are there. It's kind of loose. So mine's pretty tight. So now you can go ahead and put the clear nail polish on the knot, just paint it on the entire knot, flip it over, and make sure it really absorbs into there, and sit it somewhere to dry where this isn't touching anything. So like hang it off the edge of a table or hang it over a lampshade or something so this isn't touching anything, so it doesn't stick to it. So before I go, I realized that I'm probably going to get asked where I've got my materials at to make these bracelets. I got about 90% of the stuff I used in this video from thrift stores, yard sales, flea markets. I'm really big on recycling old stuff into new, and that's where I've gotten most of it, and including the cord and the charms. I got all that from the thrift store. The only things I didn't really get from the thrift store are the buttons, the pink beads, and the green beads, the dragonflies, and these shells here I found at the beach. So they are very inexpensive to make, if you think about it, if you shop like I do and look for old treasures to make into something new. So please like this video, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and follow me on Facebook. Thanks for watching.